Hare Chapter 12.
Text 4. Aham Iti Kartati.
Aham Tvam Iti Apakidi. Agyana Purushasya Suhi.
Swapnavati Atanyana. Swapnavati Atanyana. Yaya Panda Viparyo.
Yaya Panta Vipari.
Swapnavati Etatyana Swapnavati Yaya Banda Viparyayo Aham Tvamiti Apartati Ajnanat Purushashri Swapnavati Etatyana Yaya Banda Viparyayo
Aham Tvamiti Apartati
Aham Tvamiti Apartati
Ajnanat Purushashri
Ajnanat Purushashri
Swapnivavati Atatyana
Swapnavati Atatyana
Yaya Banta Viparyayo
Yaya Banda Viparyayo
Aham Tvamiti Apartati
Ajnanat Purushashri
Swapnivavati Atatyana Yaya Banta Viparyayo Aham Tvamiti Apartati
Ajnanat Purushashri
Swapnivavati Atatyana
Yaya Banda Viparyayo. This is word for word. Aham, I, from you, iti, thus, aparta, misconceived. The intelligence, ajnanat, from ignorance, purushasya, of a person, he, certainly, swapni, a dream, eva, like, apati, appears, atatyanat, from the bodily concept of life, yaya, by which, banda, bondage, viparyo, and misery. So the translation goes as follows. Misidentification of oneself and others as I and you on the basis of the bodily concept of life is a product of ignorance, that the bodily concept is the cause of repeated birth and death, and it makes us go on continuously in material existence. Taught by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The conception of I and you, aham tvam, as separate from each other, is due to our forgetfulness of our eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Person, Krishna, is the central point, and all of us are His part and parcels of the Supreme Whole Body. When we actually come to this understanding of being eternally related to the Supreme Lord, this distinction, which is based on the bodily concept of life, cannot exist. The same example can be cited here with the hand is the hand and the leg is the leg. But when both of them engage in the service of the whole body, there is no distinction as hands and legs, for all of them belong to the whole body. Similarly, when the living entities are in Krishna consciousness, there is no such distinction as I and you, because everyone is engaged in the service of the Lord. Since the Lord is absolute, the services are also absolute. Even though the hand is working one way and the leg is working in another way. So, since the purpose is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they are all one. This is not to be confused with the statement of the Mayavada philosopher that everything is one. Real knowledge is that hand is hand and leg is leg, body is body, and yet all together they are one. As soon as a living entity thinks that he is independent, his constitutional material existence begins. The concept of independent existence is therefore like a dream. One has to be in Krishna consciousness, his original position, then he can be free from material bondage. Om Yanti Virantasya Kiranjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sakitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gatamaya Dadati Swapadantikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagate Gopesha Gopikanta Radhikanta Namaste Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Pranameshwari Prishvanaste Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchikalpatarubhescha Kripasindhubhescha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasani Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Krishna, so dear devotees, we are at the point now where Dhruva Maharaj, after killing the Yakshas, his grandfather came and told him, what are you doing? You've been killing all these Yakshas, and only one of the Yakshas killed your brother, and now you're killing all of them, the whole race of Yakshas, you're annihilating. So, please stop it now. There's no use in killing all of them. So, at this point, Dhruva Maharaj came to his senses, realization, and then he stopped killing. And we see that Kuvera comes, and Kuvera is actually instructing, or he is actually grateful that Dhruva Maharaj has actually stopped his idea of killing. And then he pacified him with these words, that we have read in the past few verses now. I'll just read them again so that you get an idea of, as to where we are in the Bhagavatam. So, I'm on page 4, so I'll just read three other verses. The great sage Vishnu said, My dear Vidura, Dhruva Maharaj's anger subsided and he completely ceased killing Yakshas. When Kuvera, the most blessed master of the treasury, learned this news, he appeared before Dhruva. While being worshipped by Yakshas, Kinnaras and Chandranas, he spoke to Dhruva Maharaj, who stood before him with folded hands. The master of the treasury, Kuvera, said, O son of a Kshatriya, I am very glad to know that under the instruction of your grandfather, you have given up your enmity. Although it is very difficult killed the Yakshas, nor have they killed your brother. For the ultimate cause of generation and annihilation is the eternal time feature of the Supreme Lord. So Vera is telling me that actually you haven't killed him. What actually has occurred is a time factor. With time, everything is destroyed, right? So, and it's actually the time factor that has destroyed it. But you haven't killed him. And he calls him sinless Juba. So he said, it just seen as sinless. Right? So then our verse say, misidentification of oneself and others as I and you on the basis of bodily concept of life is a product of ignorance. This bodily concept is a cause of repeated birth and death, and it makes us go on continuously in the material existence. So we see that this concept of you and I, or identifying with the body, is so ingrained, or it's actually, it's entrenched in all of us, all the living entities who have come to this material world. And we need to get out of the bodily concept, and this is the ABC of spiritual life. This is what Srila Prabhupada says, that to know that we are not this body, but we are spirit souls, part and parcel of the Supreme Soul. This is the ABC of spiritual life. So, therefore, he says that we should not, identify as I and you, or me and mine. That because nothing belongs to us. So it is due to our forgetfulness of our eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right? The Supreme Lord, Krishna, is the central point, and all of us are his part and parcel. So all of us are part and parcel of Krishna, and we are not part of this material manifestation. So, like this, we should actually work to satisfy the Supreme Lord instead of, trying to satisfy the demands of this body, because we are not this body, right? Because we are forgetful of our real relationship with Krishna, we have forgotten. Everybody has forgotten that they were once in the spiritual world and enjoying with Krishna. Now they have come to this material world because of some contamination or some, they want to enjoy separately from Krishna. Because we want to enjoy separately from Krishna, so therefore, this world was created for us to enjoy here separately. And when we fall into this world, we have forgotten that we're with Krishna. And we actually, like in a dream, right? When one is dreaming, and he takes it to be reality. But when he wakes up, and he says, oh, it's just a dream, right? So one may have night in his dream, and he may be sweating and calling out to the Lord or his mother or whoever, like he's chasing him or something to that effect, right? And he's like so entrapped in this whole thing, and that he's actually become so agitated by this whole scenario. And then somebody comes and taps or makes some disturbance, noise, and then he gets up and he says, thank God I was just only in a dream. Right? So similarly, we are like in this dream, because we have forgotten our reality. Our reality is to be with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And now we are in this material world, and it's like just a dream, right? But although it seems like a dream, but there is reality in this material world as well. That they are living entities, they are, and all of these manifestations that we see around us is done by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by Krishna. So misuse everything here in the service of the Lord, so then our lives become perfect. But we use it for our own sense then we are getting deeper and deeper into material existence. Then Prabhupada goes on to say that we are part of the Supreme Lord just as the hand and legs are part of the body. Right? The hands and legs are part of the body. And, we need the whole body to function. And say, suppose now the hand, it says, okay, today I don't want to pick up the food and put it into my mouth. I'm just lazy. I don't want to do it. So what's going to happen? Right? And the hand doesn't do it. It doesn't want to take the food and put it into the mouth. So the whole body suffers, right? The body becomes weak and cannot function. Right? So therefore, everyone, all of us are basically, another example can be given. We are all part and parcel of this temple. And all of us have our parts to play. Right? Someone's working in the garden, or serving in the garden, someone's serving the daily department, cooking for the Lord, someone's on the altar, someone's preaching, so we're doing different things, right? For the whole organization to run, right? And you get a restaurant and you have devotees in the restaurant. So like this, so for the whole organization or running of the temple, you need different departmental heads and different people, right? Different devotees to actually function like this, to do their part so the whole temple can function properly. So it's just like that. So just like this with the body as well. You need the hand to work, you need the legs to work, for the whole upkeep of the body. So sometimes we get cuts, right? You say this little finger doesn't do much, right? And I say, oh well, it's just a finger. So, but if you get a cut on the finger, how do you feel? It's like so excruciating. The pain is so excruciating that the whole body suffers, right? The mind, the intelligence, the whole body basically, and because of this little finger. So therefore, we need this finger to actually work with the body cooperatively, like this. So, and then Prabhupada is saying in this report that all of us in this material world, we need to actually understand that we are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord and engage in His service, and then only will we come out of this ignorance that we are not this body. Right? We think that we are this body. So we need to come out of this ignorance that we are the body and be situated on the transcendental platform. So we'll just read on as to what Prabhupada is saying and try to come in. So I just mentioned this point. So just as the hands and legs are part and parcel of the whole body, when we actually come to this understanding of being eternally related to the Supreme Lord, this distinction which is based on the bodily concept of life cannot exist. The same example can be cited here with the hand is the hand and the leg is the leg. But when both of them engage in the service of the whole body, there is no distinction as hands and legs, for all of them belong to the whole body, and all the parts working together constitute the whole body. Similarly, when the living entities are in Krishna consciousness, Similarly, when the living entity is like Krishna consciousness, there is no distinction. There is no such distinction as I and you, because everyone is engaged in the service of the Lord. Since the Lord is absolute, services are also absolute, even though the hand is working in one way and the leg is working in another way. So here Prabhupada is making a point that actually all services are absolute. One may be doing something, taking the toilets, one may be on the altar. But because all services are absolute, then we all are trying to satisfy Krishna, and who is the absolute personality of Godhead. So in this way, everyone's service is, Krishna is pleased with everyone's service. So we need to work cooperatively to satisfy Krishna. And then Prabhupada goes on to say that it should not be confused. He says that then it becomes like we're all one in that sense, because we all are trying to satisfy the Supreme Lord. So in that way we are all one. And he says that we should not mistake it to be Mayavad philosophy, because the Mayavad philosopher says that everything is one, right? And so therefore we should not try to imitate the Mayavadis, so think of the Mayavadi statement as everything is one. Like in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna Prabhupada also speaks about this Mayavad philosophy. And he says that, a green bird on a green tree, if you look at the green bird on the green tree, you cannot actually make the distinction out, right? Because it looks like one with a tree. Right? But still, they retain their individuality. The bird is the bird and the tree is the tree. Right? So they retain their individuality. So in this way, we as living entities, we retain our individualities as part and parcel of the Supreme. The Supreme Lord is the Supreme Lord, and we are His part and parcels. So we cannot be one with Him. We actually retain our individuality, and we meant to serve Him. So I just want to turn to that verse and purport where Prabhupada is talking about this. Okay, I'll read this. One who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments nor desires to have anything. He is equally disposed towards every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. So we'll read Prabhupada's Bhagavatam. That's where Prabhupada has to say here. To the impersonalist achieving the Brahma Buddha stage, becoming one, this is 1854. Becoming one with the absolute is the last word. But for the personalist or the pure devotee, one has to go still further to become engaged in pure devotional service. This means that one has to engage in pure devotional service to the Supreme Lord. Is already in a state of liberation. This means one who is engaged in the pure devotional service of the Supreme Lord, the Absolute, is already on the stage. Oneness with the Absolute. Without being one with the Supreme, the Absolute, one cannot render service to Him. In the Absolute conception, there is no difference between the served and the servitor. Yet the distinction is there in the higher spiritual sense. In the material concept of life, one has to work for sense gratification. There is mystery. But in the absolute world, when one is engaged in pure devotional service, there is no mystery. The devotee is Krishna conscious. The devotee in Krishna consciousness has nothing for which to lament or desire, since God is full. Every entity is engaged in His service. In Krishna consciousness becomes also full in himself. He is just like a river cleansed of all dirty water, because a pure devotee has no thought material loss or aspire for gain. He does not lament for any material loss or aspire for gain, because he is full in service of the Lord. He has no desire for material enjoyment, because he knows that everything, every living entity, is a fragmental part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and therefore eternally is certain. He does not see in the material world someone is higher and someone is lower. Higher and low positions are ephemeral, and a devotee has nothing to do with ephemeral appearances and disappearances. For him, stone and gold are equal value, but in the Brahma stage, the stage is attained very easily by a pure devotee. In the stage of existence, in that stage of existence, the idea of becoming one with the Supreme Brahman and annihilating his individuality becomes hellish. The idea of attaining the heavenly kingdom becomes phantasmagoria, and the senses are like serpents' teeth that are broken. As there is no fear of a serpent with a broken teeth, there is no fear of senses when they become controlled. When they are automatically controlled. The world is miserable for the material, infected person, but for a devotee, the entire world is as good as Vaikuntha, or the spiritual sky. The highest personality in the material universe is no more significant than an ant or a devotee. Such a stage can be achieved by the mercy of the Lord of Lord Chaitanya, who preached pure devotional service in this age. So we see from this verse, Prabhupada is saying that we don't become one with the Supreme Lord, but we retain our individuality as part and parcel of the Lord and engage in His service. And by engaging in His service, then we become one with the Lord, because in this way, we fulfill the Lord's desire. And what is the Lord's desire? We all engage in devotional service, love and devotion. So I just want to say one thing, that the Lord is basically fooling Himself, and He doesn't need anything, right? He's fooling Himself. But there's one thing that Krishna is lacking, and that is he doesn't possess love of God, right? Only the devotee possesses love of God. So this actually, therefore Krishna wants to reciprocate with the devotee, because the devotee has love for him. We, as individuals, we are trying to attain this love for Krishna, because we have forgotten that lost relationship with Krishna. So, therefore, we have to engage in devotional service and try to attain pure love for Krishna, so that we can please Krishna in this way. So, and not to become one with Krishna, because Krishna, this pleases Krishna when we try to attain, oneness with Krishna. So, to become one with Krishna is actually, it's actually detrimental to our spirituality. It's basically displeases Krishna, and we cannot become one with Krishna, because Krishna is an individual person, and we are individuals, and therefore we cannot become one with God. So this Mayavad philosophy, you'll find that in the purpose, all Prabhupada's purpose is smashing this idea of Mayavad philosophy, because this whole world is entrenched with this Mayavad philosophy, and we've been coming out of this material consciousness and coming to spiritual consciousness, and therefore we actually have to chant very vigorously, chant our rounds carefully with care and philosophical inclinations that we have within our hearts. All of us do have these inclinations within our hearts, but now, we need to get out of this and just like this process of devotional service, chanting and hearing, we can actually come out. Hearing scripture, reading, studying Prabhupada's books, chanting, and we can actually cleanse the heart of all this contamination, all this mind-body contamination that's within the heart. So, I'll stop there now. And if anyone would like to contribute, you're most welcome to. So basically, Prabhupada is speaking on this, in this verse and purport, that we should not think of I and you, me and mine, but come out of this bodily concept of life. And this is the ABC of spiritual life, to come out of this bodily concept of life, think that, I'm all in all, and I am this body, and everything that's related to me is this body. So we need to come out of that concept or that situation, that mindset. So basically, that we're part and parcel of Krishna, as the hand and the legs are part and parcel of the whole body, for the whole body to function. So similarly, we are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, so in this way. And engaging devotional service and make always. Srimad